paused for more strikes because Iran is not abiding by the MOU, it seems like Europe got it right. They understood what this was and they didn't want to get involved in it.
Well, they are involved with it now. The Strait of Hormuz is a global issue. It's not just something that the United States is going to deal with. And, you know, the United States is doing everything the right way, as far as we know. They're sitting down with Iran. They're trying to come to an understanding. Iran is the one that's breaking the ceasefire, and we have to show a message that...
Here is your first script segment, drafted with a sharp opening hook, an integrated custom CTA, and commentary that sets up the panel exchange. Donald Trump's foreign policy messaging has hit a level of incoherence that even his most loyal media surrogates are struggling to cover up. And while U.S. forces are actively conducting military strikes in the Middle East and attempting to secure the Strait of Hormuz, Trump takes the stage at a NATO summit to publicly complain that European allies aren't stepping up, all while bragging that he never asked for their help in the first place. You cannot demand solidarity from your allies out of one side of your mouth while threatening trade tariffs and floating wild ultimatum demands to seize Greenland out of the other. Before we jump into this wild clip, let me know where you are tuning in from today in the comments down below. If you enjoy independent, outside-the-box political commentary, do me a huge favor. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an upload. Watching Mike McFall step in and dismantle the panel's bad faith arguments in real time highlights the core issue here. Trump treats vital international defense alliances like a personal protection racket. European nations didn't bypass this conflict because they don't care. They stayed out because the administration bypassed Congress, bypassed NATO, and initiated unilateral military actions without a clear strategic endgame. Demanding that allies clean up a mess you created entirely on your own isn't leadership. It's a total diplomatic failure.
In response to a series of Iranian strikes on commercial ships near the Strait of Hormuz, Iranian state media reports several blasts were heard on Karg Island, a vital hub for Iranian oil exports. Now, the backdrop of all of this is the high-stakes NATO summit happening right now in Turkey. President Trump received a very warm welcome as he arrived there earlier today, and he later met with Turkey's strongman leader and used his time to air his many grievances.
But we weren't treated well because we did something in Iran. We don't need anybody's help. I didn't even want their help, but before I asked, they said they wouldn't be there, and we've invested trillions of dollars in NATO. Why? To protect European countries. Why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars and they're not there for us? We've always been there for them.
Trump once again falsely claims that NATO has never been there for us. I also think it seems that given how this war has gone on, given how they've gotten into a settlement with Iran, a memorandum of understanding that as of right now, had to be paused for more strikes because Iran is not abiding by the MOU, it seems like Europe got it right. They understood what this was and they didn't want to get involved in it.
Well, they are involved with it now. The Strait of Hormuz is a global issue. It's not just something that the United States is going to deal with. And, you know, the United States is doing everything the right way, as far as we know. They're sitting down with Iran. They're trying to come to an understanding. Iran is the one that's breaking the ceasefire, and we have to show a message that you don't get to continuously do that. They're making some strategic mistakes beyond just messing with this MOU. I mean, I think one of the ships that was targeted was a Qatari ship. They're going after folks in their own orbit, and they're going after their own allies. They're just creating more problems for them long term. Now, I think ultimately this is all political. They know that there's an election coming up. I think they're using this as leverage to go after the Trump administration. I don't think we're going to have a deal in however many days are left in the 60 days. I think that's going to be extended. So it becomes political, and we're just going to have to deal with this for another several months, unfortunately. But I do think that it would come to a conclusion faster if Europe stepped up in a bigger way and started playing a bigger role here.
What do you want Europe to do at this point?
I want Europe to say that they're standing with the United States and that the Strait of Hormuz has to be completely open.
They can't bomb them anymore than we've bombed them.
Why would Europe get involved in helping us when we didn't even ask for their help? Trump says that he doesn't want it. And by the way, he continues to alienate them by launching ridiculous tariffs that make everything more expensive, by I mean, trying to pass this over to them. And earlier today, he threatened to withdraw all troops from Europe if Denmark doesn't give him Greenland.
Yeah,
that's not the way you engage with your
allies. Let me play that sound. I mean, he actually encapsulated all of his problems with NATO down to the Greenland issue. Listen.
Well, that's what hurt my relationship with NATO, because Greenland doesn't help Denmark. Denmark doesn't spend money to really help Greenland. It was Greenland that, and it continues to be, that should be controlled by the United States, not by Denmark.
What?
Yeah, what are we doing? What are we doing? For the briefest of moments, I just had like a hint of sympathy for his staff, who is probably like just scratching their heads, wondering why he is doing this again. It's just this kind of he's famously petty. Like, we weren't treated very well, like you weren't looking out for us. I wasn't even sure I was going to come. Like, none of that makes any sense at this point. You ought to be trying to restore your relationships and strengthen your relationships with NATO allies at a moment when you do, in fact, hope that Europe gets involved in this situation with the Straits to help straighten out the mess that you helped create.
Yeah. And as if the Greenland stuff wasn't enough, as if the tariff stuff wasn't enough, as if, poo-pooing on NATO entirely wasn't enough, he shows up, a couple of days after he got his puppet at FIFA, Infantino, to remove the red card against the host country of NATO, which happens to be Belgium, where basically every Belgian this morning, every Belgian today woke up making fun of Donald Trump and imitating his silly YMCA milk the cows.
I thought you were going to talk about the F-35 fighter jets. I didn't realize we were going to divert to the red card. But in addition to all of that, they are considering giving F-35 fighter jets to Turkey, which in the first Trump administration had been basically banned by Congress because they use Russian radar systems. And it's also controversial because U.S. ally Israel doesn't want it. Bibi Netanyahu talked to Dana Bash today, and here's what he said.
It's a regime that's infected with the Muslim Brotherhood, which hates the United States. He harbors Hamas, the Hamas terrorists. He supports them. He finances them. He's thrown his opponents in jail, all of them. And so he's not exactly a model ally of the United States.
So he is considering giving the country these planes, F-35s.
Well, as I said, it would destroy the power balance in the Middle East because Turkey, I think, has aggressive aspirations.
And, on top of the whole F-35 thing, which, again, they're considering, it doesn't appear that they've made a decision yet, Trump also made it very clear the only reason he went to the NATO summit is because it was hosted by Turkey. He repeatedly described Erdogan as a closer ally, as somebody more aligned with him than the rest of Europe. And, yeah, Turkey is in NATO, but the point is, I think that is a controversial view for Trump to throw the rest of Europe under the bus in favor of Erdogan at this moment.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily throwing the rest of Europe under the bus. I do think Netanyahu is correct to point out that Turkey is not necessarily a model ally for the United States. I also think the reasons that we stopped sending them F-35s were legitimate then, and I think those concerns remain today. And whether or not the circumstances have changed remains unclear. We also don't have the same access that President Trump has. I also think it's important to note two things. The F-35s that we give to Israel, that we would give to Turkey, are not the same capabilities that we have. They are not they're less advanced than ours. So we do have the ability, for example, if we need be, to take them down if they were ever used against the United States. The other thing is that the Department of Defense typically works with other countries if we're building something or selling them a product to ensure that there are security protocols in place and procedures so that there can't be things like espionage by Russia or China or one of our adversaries. So if those things were in place and Turkey met the requirements Congress set, I do think there could be an argument for selling them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the reporting is that they would mitigate some of those concerns. But I think the broader geopolitical concern is that Trump has his allegiances in the wrong place.
Well, you asked an important question earlier, is why is he throwing NATO under the bus? Why is he engaging with autocrats. Same thing with Viktor Orban, right? Like they love Viktor Orban. J.D. Vance went to go campaign for the guy, even though he was not a good human being and clearly a Russian puppet. And you see this consistently with Donald Trump's administration. If you kiss up to him enough, like the head of FIFA did, if you give him a fake peace prize, if you put money in his back pocket, he will sell out the American people, and he will sell out even some of our closest allies like Bibi Netanyahu. And Trump has been making deals all throughout the Middle East through Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff and the rest of them. Those are, in my opinion, immoral. They're bad for the American people. They make us less safe, but they put a lot of money in his back pocket. So my guess is on some level, he's either getting the feeling that he wants from somebody who's going to talk him up and say the right thing, or he's making money on the back end of this like everything else.
But, you know, I mean, Bibi Netanyahu really gave a master class on how to suck up to Trump, right?
Yeah.
Visited him in Mar-a-Lago all the time, was with him the entire time, even when he was out of office.
Got him to launch a war for him.
But it also feels like he's lost a lot of footing and leverage with Trump. Trump keeps telling him lately, shut up and know your place and do as you're told and leave me alone.
Because I thought Democrats said the Jews control everything.
Both publicly.
At least
there's a lot of Republicans
who
who say that too.
All right, we'll leave it there for that conversation.
What we are seeing here boils down to one of two things. Either Donald Trump genuinely doesn't understand how international alliances work, or he is deliberately misleading the public. Claiming that NATO has never been there for America is an absolute rewrite of history. The only time NATO's Article 5 Collective Defense Clause has ever been invoked was after September 11th, when our European allies stepped up to support the United States. The fundamental issue is simple. NATO is a defense alliance. It exists to protect member states when they are attacked, not to serve as an offensive blank check for unilateral military actions. Lack of consultation. Trump bypassed both the U.S. Congress and international partners, launching strikes on his own terms without coordination. The contradiction. You cannot spend all week publicly complaining that Europe isn't helping you, while simultaneously bragging that you never asked for their help in the first place. It is always refreshing to see hosts like Abby Phillip and panelists like Anna Navarro and Mike Nellis call out these bad faith talking points in real time. What do you think about Trump's messaging at the NATO summit? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this outside perspective, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you in the next one.